big reasons why the UFC became so popular was Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell in his prime was a monster.
Yeah.
Because he could take it. He could take a shot in the chin so good, just fucking
Yeah.
And then when he would win, he would He was this do or die berserker. He would just come at you, just swinging bombs, take one on the chin, and he was coming to kill you.
Left up to the bottom.
Chuck Liddell got knocked out 3 or 4 times in his last 5 fights. The California State Athletic Commission should have never even sanctioned that fight.
I think emotion clouds your judgment.
You're the Iceman.
Yeah. He shouldn't be fighting.
He shouldn't be fighting. At 50, he clearly can't take a punch anymore.
If you enjoy stories about legendary fighters, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Now, let's step into the world of Chuck Liddell. Born on December 17, 1969, Charles David Liddell grew up in Santa Barbara, California.
Grew up in California, but my grandpa's from Brooklyn.
Among his friends, he was simply known as Chuck, a nickname for Charles that stuck with him from childhood.
I mean, your name is Charles, but when did you become Chuck?
I actually didn't like the name Chuck. I fought it for years. Like, I actually had in high school, I had buddies who'd call up, "Hey, is Chuck there?" Eventually, I just got used to it. Now I tell people my name's Chuck. So,
Does anyone call you Charlie now?
my family still.
Raised by his single mother and his grandparents, Chuck was introduced to boxing basics from an early age.
I heard that you learned to fight from your mom and your grandma?
My grandpa. Yeah, I was getting bullied and picked on in school. The principal of the school talked to my mom. She was like, "Hey, I asked your son why he wouldn't fight back when these kids were fighting him all the time, and he said you didn't let him fight." Principal was like, "Look, I like the peaceful thing you're trying to do, but if you don't let this kid defend himself, I can't be there all the time to help him." She's like, "Okay." So my mom changed the rules. You can't start a fight, but you're allowed to finish it. I liked fighting, loved fighting since I was a kid. I've done karate since I was 12.
At age 12, Liddell began training in Koei-Kan karate, a traditional style he felt drawn to.
It was Koei-Kan Karate Do was my first style. I was black belt. I won our nationals for our style.
He would later tattoo the words Koei-Kan on his scalp. During his teens, Liddell proved to be a natural athlete.
15 and a half years old, 5'9", 155. 16 and a half, I was 6'2", about 180.
He was a 4-year starter on the football team at San Marcos High School, playing center and linebacker, and an accomplished amateur wrestler.
I went to karate all the time. I'd go after wrestling practice, go after football practice. And for me, it was like, that's when I figured out that there's no magic to this. It's just hard work.
Yeah.
If I work harder than you, if I learn more than you, if I practice more than you, I can get better than guys that have been there longer than me.
His athletic talents led him to California Polytechnic State University, where he competed as a Division I wrestler and ultimately graduated in 1995 with a bachelor's degree in business accounting.
People probably don't have any idea that you have a business degree.
I want to get a PE degree, but my grandma didn't believe that was a real major. So I had to pick a major when I was a freshman. I picked accounting. I was good at it.
Outside of organized sports, however, he developed a reputation for toughness in a different way. Liddell often found himself involved in street fights, where his size, strength, and early martial arts training set him apart from his peers.
You know, I used to even say in high school, I used to say, "Man, it sucks. Well, the thing I'm really good at, I can't make money doing." And I was talking about street fighting. I was going to Cal Poly at the time. I was like 19, I think. One of the residents at wrestling practice goes to me, "By any chance, did you jump off a car and kick a guy in the head?" Yeah. How do you know?
Did you lose any fights in high school? Was there anybody you fought that you like somebody caught you, or did you ever none? So you don't remember ever?
Nope.
The tough reputation Liddell built in street fights naturally pushed him toward combat sports.
At about 22, I figured out, it's not that much fun. Most of these guys can't fight anyway. So it's not entertaining to me. So I was wrestling, and then when I finished wrestling, I started kickboxing just to keep competing while I was finishing school.
Around this time, he met John Hackelman, a veteran kickboxer and head coach of the Pit Gym in San Luis Obispo, California.
I got called into an old karate school, and they called me in because they had a black belt coming in to spar. I came in, and it was John.
So I get there, and the guy goes, "Oh yeah, well, I can't really fight you, so you're gonna go with one of my students." There it was Chuck, and I was like, "Okay, all right, I'm gonna go." I gave my card before I left, and just said, "If you ever really want to learn, the sport part of it or whatever, and give me a call." And
so I called him up, and I'm like, I'm like, "Hey," he's like, "Yeah, come on up, let's go, let's train."
After college, Liddell set his sights on fighting. Hackelman became a central figure in Liddell's journey, mentoring him and refining his raw power into the precise, aggressive striking style that would later carry him to the top of the UFC. He built a solid foundation with an amateur kickboxing record of 20 wins and 2 losses, including 2 national amateur kickboxing championships. While competing in kickboxing, Liddell was given the nickname the Iceman.
How did you get your nickname?
My trainer, John Hackelman, gave it to me. I think it was like my 3rd or 4th kickboxing fight. He came looking for me, couldn't find me. He finally found me. I was sleeping. He's like, "You don't get nervous before every fight?" fighting? No, they start calling me Iceman because I don't get nervous before fights.
He was the Iceman. I've never seen him lose his cool.
Despite his success, the sport offered little financial security at the time, and he often struggled to make ends meet.
I was having a lot of fun, but I wasn't making any money. And the UFC had come along during that time, but like no one knew how to get into it.
During this period, he even considered leaving combat sports altogether to find a steady job that could support him long term.
So I was close to like going back and getting a real job. I graduated in accounting right around 97. I went to John Hackelman, my trainer, and I'm like, you know what, man, I'm having a great time. I'm bartending, kickboxing. If we don't start making money soon, I really got to get a real job. I love this, but I can't just do this.
Yeah.
And then someone offered me a mixed fight at some like an open hand strike fight in Vegas, and I went and did it. Kicked the guy in the head in the first round, knocked him out, and some guy from the stands comes up, hey man, do you want to fight in the UFC? I'm like, yes, finally. Yeah, let's go. They offered me UFC 17, be an alternate to a tournament, and for $1,000. Again, okay, now I'm not going to get a real job. I'm going to go back to fighting again.
In 1998, he made his professional mixed martial arts debut.
Chuck Liddell from Santa Barbara, California. Here's a guy with an accounting degree who just simply loves to compete and is happy to be in the UFC.
Liddell's first bout took place at UFC 17 in Mobile, Alabama, where he won a decision over Noe Hernandez.
Chuck Liddell opens up his UFC career with a victory.
After the first one, I met John Lewis. He started teaching me, helped me with learn jiu-jitsu.
Soon after, he traveled to Brazil for a bare-knuckle Vale Tudo fight, defeating renowned striker Jose Pelé Landy Johns by decision in hostile territory.
He was a killer.
He got knocked down with 3 times with head kicks and still fucked Pele up.
I remember Pele when I fought in Brazil. 1 30-minute round, bare knuckle, no rules. That was my second fight.
Pele was a man back then too. Did you beat him?
Yeah, I beat him.
Before making it to the big stage, Liddell connected with Dana White, who at the time was working as a manager and trainer in Las Vegas.
When did you meet Dana White? When did that connection happen?
Dana was actually managing, I think, Tito. And Wayne Harriman, who's friends with Tito and Dana, was a friend of mine and would see me train with Tito. And he actually told Dana, you might want to sign this guy. He might be better than Tito. So Dana signed me then. He was my manager. So he's managing me and Tito.
Simultaneously?
Yeah.
Well, before the UFC, I managed both Chuck and Tito. So, I did have a relationship with both guys.
It was awesome. I traveled around for a long time trying to promote the sport. I did a lot of things trying to just get the sport out there. That was one of the things why he became my manager in the beginning, was because he was actually going after not just Black Belt Magazine or Karate Magazine. He was trying to get us in men's fitness. He's trying to get us in other things. We got to get in other demographics. And it really helped me in general to have a career after.
White began managing fighters such as Liddell and Tito Ortiz in the late 1990s, helping them secure opportunities in the UFC.
We were kind of the reason they got involved in the UFC.
This relationship, combined with Liddell's reputation from kickboxing and earlier MMA bouts, led to his second UFC appearance at UFC 19 in 1999, where he was submitted by Jeremy Horn.
Keep some space.
Chuck Liddell, because he knew that he had to withstand the nope, it's over.
Chuck Liddell, when he tried to get up, really couldn't get up.
He tried and tried. Did Chuck Liddell not to tap?
Have you ever tapped?
I don't tap. Like I tried to choke me, I went to sleep. If I can think to tap, I can think to try to get out of it. I still got a little bit of air left.
Wow.
Chuck takes his first loss. Were you concerned about him in his career at this point?
No, he was winning that fight. I knew that was going to just roll right off his shoulder, and it did, right?
Undeterred, Liddell stormed back to establish himself as a top contender with a string of dominant victories.
Hey, Chuck, he's burnt! He's tired! Choke him, Chuck! Yeah, baby!
Between 2000 and 2002, he defeated a lineup of notable opponents.
Paul's in trouble.
Yep.
Yes, he is.
Paul's in big trouble. Paul is cut, and John McCarthy has stopped the fight.
We used to train with each other. He was a good kickboxer. My wrestling was great, so we helped each other. We're the first guys to come up with the wall walk.
Tito told us it was you and him that invented that cage, that wall walk.
Yeah,
I used to train with Tito, and I used that shit in pride.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
And if he is working out with Tito Ortiz, it seems to be showing.
Sighted in the corner. Scott Adams, John Lewis, John Hackelman.
Including former UFC heavyweight champion Kevin Randleman.
Skills. He's got him! Now he tries to right. Randleman out.
I saw Randleman on the train. He looked at me and he's like, man, I was really bummed out you knocked me out, but man, you're pretty good. Okay. Thanks, man.
On May 27th, 2001, Liddell traveled to Japan to compete at Pride 14.
How did Dana talk you into coming to Pride, like a whole nother organization?
I knocked out Randleman, and Pride had come and asked for somebody to represent them. It was like 3 weeks later. They wanted to ask if I could fight. They asked them, and we had a 3-way negotiation.
Where he knocked out Guy Mesger in the second round. A fight he took to gain international experience and test himself against Pride's roster.
It's a knockout! It's a knockout! He just knocked him out with one punch!
What was it like fighting in Pride?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, the weirdest part about Japan, we walk out and I mean, it's like quiet. You can talk to your corner, it's that quiet. The Japanese fans are educated too. Like you pass cigar, you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
And then quiet again. I knocked Kevin Randleman and Guy Metzger out in the span of 3 weeks.
Jesus Christ, he's a murderer. No.
He then earned victories over Murilo Bustamante and Vitor Belfort, wins that established him as the clear #1 contender.
Bro, I'm telling you, when Chuck Liddell was in his prime, he was one of the most terrifying fucking human beings that's ever walked the face of the earth.
And set up a long-awaited title shot with Tito Ortiz.
Fantastic performance. I know you've been a top contender in the light heavyweight division for a long time. Are you looking for a title shot now?
Yeah, definitely.
Tito's your good friend. I know you guys are training partners. Is that going to affect you when you guys fight?
Of course, I'd be lying if I said it didn't, but it's part of the game. We're friends. Up until then, fight time, it's all business.
Well, it looks like me and him are next.
How do you step in and fight a good friend?
Well, we stopped after he fought Bustamante. We stopped training with each other because we knew once in a while we're going to have to get in here one time or another. It's going to be hard, man. All you guys at home, it's going to be a huge fight. Me and Chuck Liddell.
What a classy Tito Ortiz. And when they meet, it will be something special. Contract negotiations, we want to make sure stay in place.
There was just one problem. The reigning champion Tito Ortiz refused to fight him.
Chuck Liddell is next in line. What's going to happen?
I don't know. I'm not really thinking about that right now. Me and Chuck, I guess we got to sit back and look at it. I guess we got to renegotiate things because me and Chuck, I mean, our friendship's not worth the money we're getting paid, if you ask me.
After Tito Ortiz defeated Ken Shamrock, he entered a contract dispute with the UFC that put his expected title defense against Liddell on hold.
After the fight, after he beats Ken, he's like, oh, we can't. I don't know if we're going to fight. We're going to maybe fight in Pride, get more money. He's like, all of a sudden, he didn't want to fight anymore.
And the bad blood between them started when Tito refused to fight Chuck.
The way it started was Scott Adams came down and he said, hey, should I just bring Chuck down? And so that's how it started. I came down and started training with him and doing stuff. And really, I was a sparring partner for the most part.
Came down to my house, stayed on my couch. You know, I've been up to San Luis Obispo training with him.
I mean, he makes it sound like we were great friends. I mean, he always slept on my couch. I slept on your couch because you wouldn't pay for a hotel room.
Chuck was in Tito's head big time because every time they trained together, Tito would get beat up. I'm talking drop him on the ground and Tito refusing to get back up. Chuck would want to hook up and spar and whatever, and Tito would never want to spar.
When we trained together, I took him down way more than he took me down.
No way.
But that's why he didn't want to fight me, because he couldn't out wrestle me. And then when we're striking, I used to drop him with body shots, and he never dropped me.
He never dropped you?
No, never.
Absolutely, positively would not fight Chuck because he knew he couldn't beat Chuck. That's the truth. If Tito felt he could beat Chuck, he'd have fought him in a second. You didn't want to lose and you didn't want to give up your title. Tito can talk about money or whatever else he wants to talk about. It's a fucking crock of shit. The money was what it was then.
With the popular Ortiz unwilling to defend against Liddell, the UFC brass took action.
So we asked Chuck to sit out and wait for the fight. He refused to do that, and he took on Babalu Sobral.
And delivered a memorable head kick knockout against Renato Babalu Sobral, which extended his streak to 10 straight wins.
A fighter as we have.
Oh, big leg kick! That's it! It's over! It is all over! Big left leg kick!
The issue with Ortiz's contract wasn't resolved, so the UFC created an interim light heavyweight title and matched Liddell against Randy Couture at UFC 43. In a clash of styles, Couture successfully neutralized Liddell's feared punching power, using straight punches and clinches to blunt Chuck's looping hooks, and eventually took Liddell down and won by TKO. It was a humbling defeat for Liddell and a detour on his road to the title. Later that year, Liddell ventured into Japan's Pride Fighting Championships as part of an unprecedented cross-promotion. The UFC sent him to compete in Pride's 2003 middleweight Grand Prix tournament as their representative. Liddell started strong, knocking out Alistair Overeem in the opening round of the tournament. However, in the semifinal round, he ran into Rampage Jackson.
After you beat him, you came to me and you talked to me and you was like, hey, looks like it's gonna be us next. Let's go to a bar and have a drink. I was like, oh shit. Ain't nobody ever said some shit like that to me. And we went in Japan.
Yeah, good time.
And Liddell was defeated by Rampage via second round TKO, eliminating him from the Pride tournament. Despite the loss, fighting in Pride raised raised Liddell's international profile and set the stage for future showdowns. By this time, Ortiz had finally settled his dispute with the UFC and returned to face Randy Couture for the undisputed light heavyweight championship, but he lost the bout. That defeat cleared the way for Ortiz to finally meet Liddell, setting the stage for their long-awaited clash at UFC 47.
You could just tell that Chuck would never lose to Tito.
Long time coming, ladies and gentlemen.
You watch Chuck's walk in. He's literally smiling like he's going to have the happiest day of his life.
Look how happy he looks.
He couldn't wait to kick Tito's ass.
You know how many times Tito fought that I wanted to see him just get his ass whooped? Tito and I hated each other, man. There was this thing where it was like me and Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz.
Wow.
That's what it was like.
So Chuck was your guy.
Yeah.
Liddell delivered on the hype, unleashing a flurry of punches in the second round that sent Ortiz crumpling to the canvas, scoring a decisive knockout victory.
Chuck continues to tee up. Combinations, uppercuts. Chuck looking to hit his feet. And down goes Liddell wins it. Tito's out. That's not done. Tito Ortiz. Unbelievable. With a vicious combination. Chuck is the better man tonight. He's going to go on to fight for the belt. I wish him luck.
In the 13 years, been in this business and owned this company, only time I've ever done this. When Tito and Chuck fought for the first time, I told Chuck I want your gloves and your trunks that you beat the snot out of him in. I put him in a glass case and hung him up in my house. So every time I walk in my door, the trunks were right there.
This win not only settled their feud, at least for the moment, but also affirmed Chuck Liddell's status as one of the UFC's biggest stars. In early 2005, Liddell's surging popularity took him beyond fights into reality TV. He was chosen as a coach on the inaugural season of The Ultimate Fighter, a reality show designed to introduce MMA to a wider audience. Liddell coached a team of up-and-coming fighters opposite fellow legend Randy Couture on season 1 of the show. The program was a breakout success for the UFC, and it made Chuck's mohawk sporting, icy persona known to millions of new viewers. On April 9th, 2005, Griffin and Bonner engaged in an epic blood and guts brawl that left both men exhausted and the audience enthralled.
We're going to the finale. We have no deal for season 2. The undercard fights happen and they're not that great. So we're going into the main event, Boris Griffin and Stephen Bonner. These two come in and just go to war.
Stephen Bonner staying in the pocket.
Bonner teeing off.
Rocked though. He is rocked.
Comes over the
still
top.
stays in there.
These two crazy fucks are beating the shit out of each other, and it is a wild melee of a fight.
Uppercut just missed. Toe to toe they go. Oh, and a left jab.
Right hand by Bonner.
Listen to this crowd.
And people were just calling friends up. You gotta watch this. This is insane, because the viewership skyrockets during the fight.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's so wild.
Right.
And that fight made the UFC.
It was great. The team did great. Everyone did great. It allowed us to blow up. Dana called it his Trojan horse to get a fight on TV. And we could have asked for a better one.
Shortly after the show, Liddell earned another shot at Randy Couture, this time with a championship on the line. On April 16, 2005 at UFC 52, Chuck Liddell faced Randy Couture in a rematch, now for the undisputed UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. Liddell entered determined to avoid a repeat of their first fight. This time, he kept the fight standing and found his range early. Midway through the first round, Liddell unleashed a powerful right hand that connected cleanly, knocking Couture out cold and crowning Chuck Liddell as the new UFC Light Heavyweight Champion.
He's down, and Chuck Liddell is the new light heavyweight champion of the world.
Randy Couture is
Chuck
out.
Liddell is the light heavyweight champion.
Unbelievable. Wow.
The Iceman!
It was a pivotal moment in his career, the culmination of years of hard work and a victory that avenged his prior loss. The image of the Iceman with the UFC belt became an iconic symbol of the sport's mid-2000s era.
UFC World Champion Chuck Liddell. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Well, phenomenal show. Now, what's next for you, Chuck?
I have no idea. I want the Pride belt. I want Vanderlei Silva. I want to knock him out. He's next.
When you came and you blew up ESPN and everybody.
Crazy.
And when Chuck Liddell was the champion, Chuck Liddell was so fucking terrifying. He was the real reason why the UFC became uber popular, because you would watch The Ultimate Fighter and it was a wild fighter, but then you need a destroyer. And that destroyer was Chuck Liddell.
Now at the top of the 205-pound division, Liddell went on a tear. defending his title against all challengers.
Tito got out of the picture, then you become like the big superstar of UFC. So a lot of people started watching the sport because of you.
His first title defense came against Jeremy Horn, the seasoned grappler who had handed Liddell his first defeat years earlier. They fought at UFC 54 in August 2005, and this time, Liddell dominated. He knocked Horn down multiple times over the course of the fight. Horn, unable to continue due to vision problems, conceded in the 4th round, giving Liddell the TKO win. With that victory, Chuck had avenged another career loss. In February 2006, Liddell met Randy Couture for a 3rd time at UFC 57, in what was billed as the final chapter of their trilogy. Couture gave a spirited effort, but was again unable to withstand Liddell's striking. Liddell's star power kept growing, and so did the challenges.
He was hunting people.
Yeah.
He was hunting people, and he was a wrestler that never wrestled.
In August 2006 at UFC 62, he faced Renato Babalu Sobral in a rematch of a prior fight. Babalu charged forward aggressively, but Liddell countered with accurate punches. He finished the fight in just 1 minute and 35 seconds of the 1st round with a devastating uppercut knockout. It was another emphatic defense for the champ.
The run where he was at the top, where Chuck Liddell was just murking people.
So
he was an exceptional champion. He would just come after dudes and smash people. Like, he was never trying to win decisions. Chuck Liddell was trying to send you into the dream world. When he would win, he would throw his arms back like this. It was crazy.
The stage was then set for a blockbuster showdown, a second fight with Tito Ortiz.
You got the best of me the first time. I'll come in here the second time. We can do it again, bro.
Anytime you want, bro. You won't step in the ring with me again. You know that. I'll knock you out again.
I do beat him, and I show that Chuck Liddell is human and he is beatable.
When you listen to him talk, do you think he believes what he's saying?
No, I don't. I just can't let him beat me. I can't lose to that guy. You never hear the end of it. Bad enough when you beat him, you still can't hear the end of it.
On December 30th, 2006, Liddell and Ortiz met again at UFC 66, this time with Chuck's championship on the line. The bout had enormous hype and became the most financially successful UFC event up to that point. Fans around the world tuned in to see if Ortiz could solve the riddle of the Iceman. Despite carrying a knee injury into the fight, Chuck put on a memorable performance. Ortiz attempted to implement his wrestling game plan, but Liddell stuffed many takedowns and punished Tito with strikes. In the 3rd round, Liddell overwhelmed Ortiz with punches, forcing a referee stoppage for a TKO victory.
Mosley's not hurting him here, but Tito has to move.
It is all over. Chuck Liddell remains the light heavyweight champion.
His fights when he knocked out Tito Ortiz, like, oh my God, he was a monster.
Right.
He was a monster.
I knew Chuck Liddell was going to win those fights. I knew he was. He had Tito's number. Tito couldn't deal with Chuck's style, his power, his wrestling. Tito couldn't take Chuck down, and Chuck was 1,000,000% in Tito's head.
It was Liddell's 4th consecutive title defense, and it emphatically reaffirmed his dominance over his rival. By the end of 2006, Chuck Liddell had cleared out most of the top contenders and was widely seen as the face of the UFC.
That was the big guy. He was the face of the company. If you, the casual fan, when you talk to him, like, have you seen the Chuck Liddell fight? You're going to see the Chuck Liddell fight.
The UFC Light Heavyweight Champion of the world.
But every great champion eventually meets his match, and for Liddell, that reckoning came in 2007.
That was the most nervous I ever been for a fight when I fought Chuck in the UFC. I had dreams. This was years ago, but I never dreamed about any of my opponents.
You were hunting him in his sleep, dog?
I was trying.
In May of that year, he stepped into the octagon at UFC 71 to defend his title against Quinton Rampage Jackson, the man who had defeated him in Japan 4 years prior. This time, the stakes were higher with UFC gold on the line. Rampage wasted little time in the rematch. He caught Liddell with a right hook in the 1st round, dropping him, and followed up with ground strikes to score a knockout just 1 minute 53 seconds into the fight. In a flash, Chuck Liddell's reign as champion was over.
Left up to the bottom.
It was a stunning defeat, the first knockout loss of Liddell's UFC career, and it marked a turning point.
Chuck, you've been the most dominant light heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC. I know all your fans would love to see you perform again. We all love watching you fight. Thank you for all the fights you put on before in the past. Thank you for your performance tonight. We look forward to seeing you again. The Iceman, ladies and gentlemen.
Coming off the knockout loss to Rampage, Liddell returned to the cage only 4 months later against Keith Jardine, a quick turnaround that some felt left him without enough recovery time.
Chuck was supposed to fight Vanderlei. I forgot whatever reason that couldn't happen right away, and they wanted him to fight. And so I remember I got the call, and so they pinned him up against me so they can have the big Vanderlei fight afterwards.
Liddell, a feared knockout artist, was expected to use Jardine as a stepping stone, but Jardine executed a flawless game plan. Jardine's awkward style and heavy leg kicks earned him a split decision win, handing Chuck his second straight defeat.
Do you feel like Chuck Liddell overlooked you or something?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
The back-to-back losses raised questions about whether the 37-year-old legend was slowing down after years at the top. In December 2007, Liddell entered the octagon with Pride superstar Vanderlei Silva at UFC 79. The matchup was a dream fight that fans had wanted for years. Two knockout artists with aggressive styles finally clashing. Neither man disappointed. Liddell and Silva battled for 3 thrilling rounds, trading power punches in one of the most action-packed fights in UFC history. Chuck Liddell won a unanimous decision, earning Fight of the Night honors, and the bout was later acclaimed as 2007's Fight of the Year. This victory was a career highlight and proved Liddell could still compete at an elite level. However, it would turn out to be the final win of his MMA career. By 2008, Father Time and the accumulated damage of a long career began catching up with the Iceman. On September 6, 2008, Liddell fought Rashad Evans at UFC 88.
When you had the fight with Chuck Liddell, you were a heavy underdog.
Yeah. When I got to the weigh-in and we did the face-off, for me, I was like, oh man, Chuck looks serious, because I watched him so many times. That's when I really started to think man, I'm fighting Chuck Liddell. So that's when, for me, the nerve started. And then I hit up Randy Couture, who just happened to be a floor below me, and I go and see Randy, and I'm like, oh man, Randy, I'm scared, man. I'm scared. And Randy's like, what's going on? He's like, oh man, I just can't shake this feeling, man. I'm just so nervous about tomorrow, and I don't want to get beat up and knocked out in front of everybody. And the best advice I ever got, he said, you got to make friends with the worst enemy. When you make friends with the worst enemy, you understand that life will go on. And then I worked myself up into a lather just thinking about it, yeah, I got to face my fears. I got to face my worst enemy, and I got to face my, whatever I'm afraid to happen. And then I became so comfortable with the idea that I may be getting embarrassed tomorrow. I was like, whatever is whatever. So I went out there feeling free.
In the second round, Evans delivered one of the most devastating knockouts in UFC history, a single overhand right that instantly knocked Liddell out cold.
Big uppercut. He's down. He's down. Rashad Evans has knocked out Chuck Liddell.
Do you remember seeing that opening in that Chuck fight?
So whenever he throws, I'm a throw, and it's called throw on throw. I just threw at the same time with the right hand, but I was really trying to catch him with the left hook. And I caught him with the right hand, and I was like, whoa. And I seen that he was on the ground. I was like, oh my gosh, what?
Man.
It was crazy.
And then he didn't get up.
It was such a flush shot.
The brutal loss was a sobering moment, and many observers thought it might be the end of the road for Chuck.
Because his style was so aggressive, that people could just set, boom, and counter, like Rashad Evans did with him. And so you're getting his momentum coming forward and the shot, and he would get flatlined. That style, comes a certain point in time where you just can't do that anymore.
Liddell, however, was not ready to hang it up yet. He returned in April 2009 to face Mauricio Shogun Hua, a former Pride champion at UFC 97. Once again, the fight didn't go his way. Shogun stopped Liddell via TKO in the first round after landing a series of punches. After the loss to Shogun Hua, UFC President Dana White openly contemplated whether it was time for Liddell to hang up the gloves.
I care about him, I care about his health, and it's over, man. We all turned 40. It's over. Listen, I've been pushing for retirement. He's my friend. I love him. I care about him. We sat down. We had a 2-hour talk. He wanted to do this. He fucking has nothing to prove. Nothing to prove. He doesn't have to prove anything to me, the rest of the world. He's got shitloads of money. There's no reason for it.
They eventually agreed on one final fight, win or lose, which was set to be against Tito Ortiz after the two coached opposite each other on season 11 of The Ultimate Fighter. However, Ortiz pulled out with an injury.
Chuck told me before the season started, when I asked him to do it, he said, I guarantee you, Tito will not fight me. We'll do this show and he'll pull out of the fight, I guarantee it. And that's why when Tito pulled out, I was like, holy shit. Chuck was right, and I had to go tell Chuck that Tito pulled out. Tito pulled out of the fight.
That fucking pussy. Don't let that fucking guy fight anymore, man. He's a fucking pussy.
And for his final UFC appearance, Liddell was instead matched with Rich Franklin at UFC 115. But despite starting strong, he was knocked out at the end of the first round.
has done it! You gotta suspect this is the last time we see Chuck Liddell in the octagon. I was just thinking the same thing.
After this third consecutive knockout defeat, UFC President Dana White publicly stated it was time for Liddell to retire for his own safety.
I haven't talked to Chuck yet. Chuck went to the hospital. Chuck Liddell came in. He worked hard for this thing. And, I think him and Rich Franklin tonight fought the type of fights that made them both famous and made them both world champions tonight. Those two went at it. He means a lot to this company, and he means a lot to the sport. He means a lot to me personally. He was a great champion. He was a great business partner. He's always going to have a home with the UFC. He gave it his last shot. You know what? He went out like Chuck Liddell would. Came out blasting, bombing, tried to put Rich away in the slugfest, and he gave the fans a good last fight with the Iceman.
Liddell was 39 years old and had nothing left to prove. On July 10, 2009, he was honored with induction into the UFC Hall of Fame, Pioneer Wing, for his contributions to the sport. Finally, on December 29, 2010, Chuck Liddell formally announced his retirement from professional fighting. He made the announcement at a UFC 125 press conference, appearing emotionally reflective as he thanked his family, fans, and coaches for their support.
People asked me for a long time why I stuck around so long. If I was getting my ass kicked and then getting knocked out, it would have been a lot easier to hang it up. I was getting paid really well, and I was winning fights and then just getting caught. So you always think, oh man, I can fix that. We had a dinner together. I said, look, man, I can't figure out why this happened. I can't compete the way I used to, so I'm done.
And I'm here today with my partner Lorenzo Fertitta to announce his retirement. Myself, my partners owe a lot to Chuck Liddell. And we're also here today to announce that he is becoming one of the top executives in the UFC. Chuck Liddell is now the new Executive Vice President of Business Development.
And he has literally seen this sport evolve from a very small niche sport to what it is today, a global sport that is becoming worldwide now. So we welcome Chuck Liddell to the UFC executive team.
I thank Frank, Lorenzo, and Dana for everything they've done for me over the years and for the sport.
Chuck, you really set the bar for, where UFC was and what it was and giving it a storyline and becoming a character. I mean, so many people owe you their career. The UFC owes you so much. You put the entire industry and sport on your back. You became this larger than life character.
I don't know that I never was a character. That's what made it easy. I mean, I just went out and was me. As an athlete, you've been getting ready for something your whole life. You got something coming up, something doing this, something there. And then all of a sudden you're done. For me, that was my brakes. That was my control. That was the brakes for my crazy side.
As part of his retirement, Liddell accepted a job as an executive with the UFC. The company named him Vice President of Business Development, a role that allowed the beloved Hall of Famer to stay involved with the organization outside of the cage. It was a bittersweet moment, the end of an era for a legendary fighter, but the beginning of a new chapter outside of competition. Stepping away from active competition, Chuck Liddell remained a prominent figure in the MMA world and beyond. His Hall of Fame status and charismatic persona made him an ambassador for the sport. As a UFC executive, he made public appearances and helped promote events. Outside of MMA, Liddell's fame led to opportunities in entertainment. In 2009, he appeared as a contestant on Season 9 of Dancing with the Stars, showcasing his footwork in a very different arena.
We're always trying to get on things. I did Dancing with the Stars, not because I wanted to go dance. It's a different demographic. It's a different audience. We're trying to grow the sport. We're trying to get people to take a look at us. Dancing, where all of a sudden you're in a stand, like this. Every sport I've ever been in, if I get to that position, I'm screwed.
He lasted 4 weeks on the show before elimination. Liddell also dabbled in acting, often playing himself or cameo roles that nodded to his Iceman image. These appearances illustrated how Liddell's mainstream popularity had grown hand in hand with the rise of the UFC.
So you like acting?
I like it. I have a good time with it. Like I said, I'll keep doing it as long as it's fun.
Liddell's post-retirement career with the UFC continued until 2016. That year, the UFC was sold to new owners, and the company underwent widespread corporate restructuring. In late 2016, Chuck Liddell, along with fellow Hall of Famer Matt Hughes, was let go from his UFC executive position during a round of staff layoffs by the new ownership. It marked the end of his so-called lifetime job with the UFC, which had been created as a gesture of thanks for his contributions. Liddell handled the news professionally, acknowledging the change and moving on to new ventures. Though no longer on the UFC payroll, he remained a revered presence at MMA events and in the community, often attending fights as a fan and doing the occasional media appearance or seminar. In 2018, nearly a decade after his initial retirement, Chuck Liddell surprised the MMA world by announcing a comeback.
So you are making a comeback. If the right right fight comes up, you're making a comeback.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
If someone's got to make a real offer, and it makes sense, I'm not against it.
At 48 years old, long past his athletic prime, Liddell still felt the competitive itch and specifically wanted another shot at his old rival, Tito Ortiz. In April 2018, he declared he was coming out of retirement to pursue a third fight with Ortiz. The fight was organized not in the UFC, but under Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions, an upstart MMA venture.
Well, I said this before. I hope he's coming out of retirement to be partners with De La Hoya and not to fight. I hope he doesn't fight. Last thing I want to do is shit on Chuck Liddell because I love him, but I asked him to retire 10 years ago for a reason. I hope he makes a lot of money. I hope the event is very successful for them, but I wish it wasn't happening.
8+ years since you've been in the cage, so why now?
A lot of my fans want to see it. Other people saying I can't do it, I'm too old, been out of the game too long. I took it as a challenge. I love a challenge. I'm ready to knock this fool out one more time. I'm here to show that you're never too old to do anything. I'm here to prove that I can do this.
I think if Chuck Liddell was still employee of the UFC, getting paid $400,000 just to chill or whatever he was doing for the UFC, he would not be fighting. I think this is more of a money play, which bums me out. Because I think Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, what they did for the sport, should be compensated for the rest of their lives.
But he has been saying that he misses it. It was his favorite thing.
Yeah, I miss playing baseball.
He misses it.
To me, it's more of a sad story.
See, I think Tito, he might actually want this fight just to fight Chuck again.
On November 24th, 2018, Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz stepped into the cage one last time. The bout drew attention for its nostalgia, though many observers were concerned about Liddell's age and long layoff. Unfortunately for Chuck, the fight itself was one-sided. Ortiz knocked out Liddell in the first round, emphatically avenging his losses from years before.
It probably would be. Look at Ortiz saying, let's see if you still got that power. Oh, there Ortiz makes a right hand. Liddell's down, and Liddell is out. Tito Ortiz. Wow. Big shot. Redemption is here.
That's Tito's guy's thing, man.
Liddell looked noticeably slower and off balance, and the outcome sparked serious discussion about the dangers of older fighters returning to competition. In the aftermath, Liddell was gracious in defeat, but the result was a clear sign that his fighting days were truly over.
He just felt like he always had Tito's number. But this is the problem, is like Tito wins now. When it all said and done, Tito KO'd him. And he KO'd him more soundly than Chuck ever KO'd Tito.
Yeah,
Tito put Chuck out. He put him out. You're dealing with a guy whose brains are, it's just, he's been scrambled too many times.
He didn't immediately make a retirement speech in the cage, but the consensus in the MMA community was that this would be the end. And in March 2020, Chuck Liddell confirmed he had retired from MMA competition again, this time for good. Despite the disappointing final chapter, the fact that Liddell dared to compete one more time underscored his warrior spirit and love for the sport. Fans and fellow fighters alike expressed hope that he would remain healthy after a career filled with knockouts, and they celebrated his legacy rather than dwelling on the late losses. Outside of fighting, Chuck Liddell has experienced personal highs and lows. He became a father and has been involved in raising his children, even as his public life stayed busy. However, in October 2021, Liddell made headlines for troubling reasons. He was arrested at his home in Hidden Hills, California, on a misdemeanor domestic violence charge after an incident involving his wife. According to police reports, there had been a minor physical altercation. Both Chuck and his wife sustained very minor injuries, and each accused the other of being the aggressor. Liddell was jailed briefly and released on bond. Ultimately, the Los Angeles County District Attorney declined to file charges against either party, citing insufficient evidence and the mutual claims of assault. A few days after the incident, Liddell filed for divorce, and the couple entered into a custody battle over their 2 children. During the legal proceedings in 2022, some deeply personal and concerning allegations emerged. As part of a custody evaluation, Chuck's estranged wife claimed that Liddell was exhibiting signs of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, the degenerative brain condition associated with repeated head trauma.
Do you have moments in your life now where maybe being kicked in the head, punched in the head, knocked down is affecting you now?
Not that I know of, no. I didn't notice, but my wife said she did.
She alleged that Chuck's memory had deteriorated, his behavior had become increasingly erratic and paranoid, and that he struggled with issues like insomnia and slurred speech, which she attributed to the many knockouts he suffered in his career.
I've been doing some stuff with brain training, and they did an EEG in my brain, and I do have a lot of, I don't know how to explain it exactly. I'm stuck in like fight or flight most of the time. Like it's always my fight or flight things are firing all the time, and I have like the different places where I'm not using it.
The custody evaluation ultimately recommended that Chuck and his ex-wife share joint custody of their children, while also mandating measures like random drug testing to ensure a safe environment. Despite the personal turmoil, Liddell has generally kept a low profile in recent years, focusing on family and health. Chuck the Iceman Liddell's legacy is cemented as one of the fighters who helped drag mixed martial arts into the mainstream. With his trademark mohawk, icy stare, and devastating knockout power, he became the face of the UFC's rise in the mid-2000s.
Man, Chuck was rockstar MMA.
Yeah, you kind of lived by your own terms.
Holding the light heavyweight title from 2005 to 2007, Liddell racked up 21 professional wins, 16 inside the UFC, and built unforgettable rivalries with Tito Ortiz and Randy Couture that defined an era. Beyond the cage, his crossover into pop culture proved that an MMA fighter could become a global icon. Liddell remains a Hall of Famer, a trailblazer, and a symbol of the sport's evolution from underground spectacle to worldwide phenomenon.
Chuck and I had done it. We did it. We did it together, and again, going back, I managed him, getting into the UFC, him becoming a huge star, world champion, making tons of money, becoming famous, doing other things, and then eventually retiring. It was all done the right way at the right time.
I don't have any regrets. You know, I had a great time. I mean, it was fun. I got paid a lot of money to do what I love for a living, and my body held together pretty dang well for what I put it through.